Now at our monitors as we sit here in the Colin Bell stand at the Etihad Stadium, the family stand to our left, the south stand to our right, seats being filled all around us. Of course, the family stand being built upon top of. I'm not sure when that extension to the family stand is going to be ready to accommodate supporters, but as Mickey Gray alongside me saying, they've got the skates on with that, and it's gone up a lot quicker than we all expected.
They have danced, yeah. And when it's all finished and obviously full of supporters, it's going to be fantastic. But I think it just shows the journey that City have been on, the success that they've had over the last decade, have given them the opportunity with the owners to be able to extend this stadium into a wonderful stadium. And we're very, very lucky to be sat in here tonight, Dan, to see a cracking game.
Kevin De Bruyne in the tunnel. I'm wondering, hopefully, that he turned the right way into the right dressing room when he arrived here. And I wonder if he walked in there and I looked around, this is rubbish compared to the home one. What have they served us up here? Yeah. No wonder we had such a good home record.
I think it'd be understandable if he did that, and I'm sure all of the the hugs and the hellos have all gone and everything. You know, you can see him in the tunnel now with the City players walking down the stairs in the tunnel club just before they come out. And it's going to be a brilliant occasion for him. I'm sure, as I said before, he's going to get a wonderful occasion, wonderful applause, and he deserves it. One of the best Premier League players we've seen playing in the Premier League and Champions League football as well. He's just a real talent.
You're listening to the Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. And Napoli are here to try and arrest a really bad run. Napoli are without a win in their 10 away matches and English teams. Only 3 draws in that sequence of results. But let's not forget, they do have Antonio Conte, a man who, listening to Daniela Fisichella on Hawksby and Jacobs earlier, has freed his mind a little bit tactically in recent times. And he was backed by his owner, Mr. De Laurentiis, at Napoli in the summer when there were threats, Mickey, that he could have walked away after lifting that 4th Scudetto for the club, and his 5th as a manager. But they promised him money, they promised him players, they've been good to their word. And look how Napoli have responded at the start of this season.
Well, look, we've seen it before with Conte, haven't we? I think even when he was at Chelsea, he asked for more and he never got it, and eventually walked away from that club. But I think you see him now here, back in his home country. He's enjoying his football. His side are very entertaining. They're good on the eye. But this is a competition I think he needs to improve in, Dan.
He'll want to improve. He won it as a player with Juventus. Lost 3 finals as well, did Antonio Conte. Pep Guardiola has won it very recently as a Manchester City manager. Won it with Barcelona, never won it with Bayern Munich, and that was a source of huge frustration to Guardiola that he couldn't get the German champions, perennial German champions, to get the job done in Europe. But here comes the famous theme tune, which the City fans remember are not the greatest fans of. I thought they'd turn it up to sort of drown out the boos, to be honest, but I think the City fans are winning here. There's a massive banner that's just been unfurled to our right at the south stand end. King Kev, held aloft by the City fans, I should say, not the travelling Napoli contingent, in honour of Kevin De Bruyne and his extraordinary achievements for Manchester City down the years. He joined Napoli from City in the summer, 10 years here at the club. He won 6 Premier League titles and the 2023 Champions League. 25 assists alone in Champions League games for Manchester City. That is 10 more, Mickey, than any other player. It's madness, isn't it?
And 16 goals to boot as well, and what was, I think, 73 appearances for Man City in the Champions League. Look, he's been an outstanding talent. And I think it got to the point where injuries started to maybe take their toll on Kevin De Bruyne, so maybe going to Serie A just gives him that little bit more of a breather. It's not as intense as the Premier League week in, week out, but he's hit the ground running. He's already got a goal for his new club, and he's just causing mayhem in the games that he's been involved in so far.
A reminder of the lineups tonight, both unchanged from the weekend. Manchester City have Donnarumma in goal against Italian opposition. A back 4 of Kusanov, Diaz, Vardiol and O'Reilly. Rodri holding in midfield, and then in front of him Silva, Reinders, Foden and Doku. Haaland in attack. And for Napoli, who are wearing a change strip of very dark blue shirts tonight, in contrast to the Manchester City sky blue that we're used to seeing Napoli wear when they play at home, it is Milinkovic-Savic in goal, Di Lorenzo, Bukema, Buongiorno and Spinazzola in a back four. Lobotka holding, Politano, Anguissa, De Bruyne and McTominay in midfield, and then Højlund on loan from Manchester United up front. And yet Anguissa and McTominay know what the Premier League's all about. I liked watching Anguissa when he was at Fulham, Mickey Gray. McTominay sort of playing slightly infield from the left-hand side. I think the left-hand side of Napoli is where Manchester City, if Kuzanov has got anything about him, can exploit tonight.
Yeah, well, it is. It's strong. And I mean, what Scott's trying to do is he's one of those midfield players now who tries to arrive in the area and scores goals, which we saw a lot of him last season doing in a Napoli shirt. He's a different player from what we saw at Manchester United. He's going to get chances tonight. And that's where I think Kuzanov, inexperienced, yes, of course he is, they can capitalise on that Napoli if the City defence is not up to scratch tonight. That's why it's so enticing, this game. There's so many battles on either side of the football pitch.
Felix Zweier is our referee, the German who officiated the Europa League final between Spurs and Manchester United last season that Spurs triumphed in. City will get us underway. They'll be kicking towards the south stand, away to our right in this first half, as Mickey and I look on from our commentary position in the Colin Bell stand. City in those sky blue shirts and socks with white shorts. Napoli in that change strip of very dark blue throughout, and they will be kicking towards the family stand to our left, Napoli, in this first period in the Champions League. We'll keep you up to date with what's happening elsewhere around the Champions League tonight, including, of course, Newcastle's home game with Barcelona, which is live on Talksport right now. If you've got the app, you can easily swipe between both commentaries. This is day 3 of 20 consecutive days of football commentaries across our network from a whole myriad of different competitions, including the Champions League, of course, the Carabao Cup that we brought you, Premier League and Championship and WSL to come at the weekend, and then the Europa League and the Conference League kicks in next week too. Here is Kevin De Bruyne in these early stages, trying to muscle his way through the midfield, and he's forced a poor clearance from Manchester City, and then Rodri just gets his right foot through it and hoofs it downfield, and that's nodded back by Alessandro Buongiorno to his keeper Milinkovic-Savic. And the contest between Buongiorno and Haaland will be interesting tonight, because Alessandro Buongiorno is a classic Italian centre-half. Mickey Gray, 0-0.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, got two sides in front of us that they're just feeling each other out at the moment, aren't they, and hoping for a mistake from either side because it's the early stages of the game. But bit of possession for Man City. Napoli are being a little bit more direct, trying to get the ball in behind to get Højlund using the pace that he has got. But I think as the game goes on, Dance, you will see it settle into a possession-based game from Man City, as you always do. And I said before, Napoli, I think, with the forward players that they've got and the willing midfield runners, that's where they will be given their opportunities tonight.
The whistles you heard there were from the Napoli fans away to our right towards Gianluigi Donnarumma. Born in Naples, or a district of the city of Naples, but never played for Napoli. He's just got the ball just outside his own penalty area. De Bruyne thinking about closing him down. It's played out to Kuzanov on this near side, the City right. Diaz tucks it back into the penalty area. Foden with a lovely pass to release Gvardiol on the left-hand side, who can dart up towards the halfway line in plenty of space. Once he gets to halfway, he looks up, wants an option, plays it backwards to square to Diaz in the centre circle. Options left and right for Ruben Diaz. Puts his foot on the ball and plays it back left to Gvardiol. Couple of minutes gone, 0-0 on Talksport 2. Rodri flicks it to his right for Diaz. Bernardo Silva, wearing the captain's armband tonight, wants the ball out on this right flank, but it goes the other way, out to the inside left channel, and Jeremy Doku just cuts infield, slides it into the area, looking for Haaland. Comfortable clearance by Buongiorno, but only as far as Diaz. Diaz will look for an option to his left. That's Josko Gvardiol, the Croat. Out to Nico O'Reilly, playing at left back at the moment and doing a very neat and tidy job out there for Pep Guardiola, who is, like Antonio Conte, stood right at the very edge of his technical area. In fact, Conte standing beyond the dotted line of the technical area. Better be careful. Mr. Badstubner, the fourth official, will have words with him. Forward comes Guardiola on a raking run downfield, plays it out to the left wing. O'Reilly takes one touch, sets himself for a cross, then lays it back to Doku, almost at the left-hand corner of the penalty area. Two Napoli defenders facing him. Doku rolls it back to just outside the area. Onto it runs Diaz and tries to crack a shot goalwards. He goes well wide, harmlessly wide, It's a goal kick to Napoli. Nearly 4 minutes gone on Talksport 2 at the Etihad. It's 0-0.
Well, the build-up play was very good from City to get themselves around the edge of that 18-yard area. On this occasion, Nico O'Reilly down that left-hand side, who has been fantastic. City being brought into the City starting lineup, but I think on this occasion Ruben Dias is maybe thinking to himself, I'll just take an extra pass next time. Look, it's early stages in the game, 30 yards out, why not try and get your laces through it? But it's a centre-half shot really, isn't it? That just didn't really work for him, but you can see the way that they've settled into the game. City, they're certainly up for it tonight.
0-0. 4 minutes gone. Ball kept in play well by Rasmus Højlund on this near side, but McTominay actually puts the ball out of play as it ricochets off him and he collided with Bernardo Silva. Pep Guardiola looking rather smart this evening. Is that a blazer he's got on? He's not wearing sort of chinos and a roll neck sweater, is he?
I think he has got the roll neck on underneath.
Has he?
Yeah.
I see. That's why I need you here, Talksport's fashion correspondent. Here's Jeremy Doku bursting through the centre circle, up to the edge of the area, looking to find Haaland. Poor touch, but he breaks for Foden. Oh, the flag's gone up for a foul. Inside the D, there was a foul that was given against Bukima.
Yeah.
And Napoli have a free kick when City suddenly had the ball in a very dangerous area. 0-0.
It was a little unfortunate dance as well, and it's Jeremy Doku, and as he makes the challenge, it's a little bit of a two-footed tackle, a kind of like, look, as he goes towards it, yeah, he kind of puts his studs up towards it and just makes contact. But that's a bit of a let-off for Napoli, I have to say, because City are in here. Look, seeing it again, it's soft. And Phil Foden was in it. I think he had the chance to get his left foot shot away first time. He didn't do that, and I think the referee was a little bit too sharp and bright to blow his whistle.
De Bruyne for Napoli just lays it back for Lobotka, the holding midfielder in this 4-1-4-1 formation. Down the right-hand side goes Politano, but that's comfortably dealt with by Gvardiol. For City, Donnarumma passes out to the right-hand side of his area, and Diaz. Now Kusanov, who didn't have that much to do, did he, Mickey, on Sunday here against Manchester United as a fullback. Right back's been a problem for Manchester City for a little while. They had Matheus Nunes playing there a few times. Rico Lewis has played there. Now we've got Husanov in there. Akanji's left the club, so
yeah, they've tried a few, haven't they? Kyle Walker obviously going to Burnley as well, so that experience is gone, and I think that's why we talked in the build-up to this game about the inexperience in those full-back areas. Kusanov, we saw his debut when he came on for Man City, and it wasn't the best half an hour, was it, of the game, giving the ball away.
And he's up against a very experienced campaigner, Leonardo Spinazzola, the left-back, but he likes to get forward for club and country, Spinazzola. Given away by Napoli on halfway. And away go Manchester City with Reinders inside left channel, just plays a short 1-2 with Doku. Now Doku has it again, the Belgian, lays it back to the imposing figure of Rodri. Now the more fleet-of-foot Bernardo Silva receives it. Foden tucks it out to Kusanov right wing, but he plays the ball immediately backwards of square to Diaz. Kusanov again. Napoli got everybody behind the ball as Diaz has it just over the halfway line. 0-0. 7 minutes gone on Talksport 2. No goals at St James's Park either between Newcastle and Barcelona, which is live on Talksport right now. Here's Foden. Scored a lovely goal on Sunday against Manchester City, but just didn't quite have the radar to find Bernardo Silva. Napoli win it back, and Milinkovic-Savic, the Serbian goalkeeper, clunks it downfield, but McTominay's lost out. In steps De Bruyne, but loses out to his old teammate Rodri. Now Gvardiol in the centre circle for Manchester City. Looking for an option, can go right or left here. Goes short into the feet of Bernardo Silva, tucked out to the right hand side, and Kusanov. He's now coming in field. Rodri plays it back as far as Gvardiol. O'Reilly into the feet of Doku, bang on halfway. Heavy first touch, but didn't allow anybody to get at him. It's played out to the right hand side once more. Abdelkadir Kusanov finds Diaz. Rodri finds O'Reilly. Napoli just haven't had a touch of the ball for the past minute and a half. Reinders now getting involved. Plays it out to the left wing, and Jeremy Doku level with the 18-yard line. Two Napoli players facing him once again. Gives it back to Reinders. Left-hand corner of the area. Winds up for a shot. And Milinkovic-Savic has to turn it over for City's first corner of the game. 0-0.
Well, I was just going to mention to say that City are going to have to be very, very patient tonight, and I think that's going to be the story of the night, Dance, because it's going to be hard to break down Napoli, and some of their strikes are going to come from outside of the 18-yard area. But what a strike from Reinders. He knew he had acres in front of him. He just got his laces through it, and he got so much pace on it. Milinkovic-Savic has actually made a very good save there to tip it over the bar.
So it's a corner to City, taken by Foden, left-footed in-swinger, deep to the far post. Doku could take it down on his chest, but the chest touch didn't help him, and it allowed Napoli to hook it clear.
He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for it. I think Jeremy Doku actually being inside of the 18-yard box is something new to him, but when that ball went over the top of everybody and came to his chest, he just wasn't ready. He didn't react quick enough. He was leaning back, never really got his shot away, but that was a big opportunity.
Rasmus Højlund limping around at the moment for Napoli. Pep Guardiola, meantime, we've been talking about his fashion sense. More importantly, he's cajoling the Manchester City fans into getting more involved in these early stages at 0-0, Mickey Gray.
Yeah, look, he's done it on occasions before, hasn't he? I think he's always, well, not always, but he's complained over the years about the atmosphere in the stadium. I think he wants Champions League football to be the pinnacle of Manchester City, but at the moment we hear, you know, the jeers as the songs get played before kick-off. He just wants them to get behind them a little bit more, because this is going to be a hard night for them.
8th in the Premier League after 4 games, Manchester City. Couple of wins and a couple of defeats. They go to Arsenal on Sunday afternoon for their next Premier League assignment. Will they go in good heart? They didn't win their first Champions League game last year.
Great for Arsenal, isn't it? They've had 2 days rest. Sure.
Do you think that might come up in Pep's press conference?
I think so.
Played long downfield looking for Haaland, but it's dealt with at the back instead by Bukema, the Dutch centre-half. Now Milinkovic-Savic. But Haaland closing him down, manages to pass out just in time to find Buongiorno. Very nearly snapped up by Phil Foden. As Napoli were playing with fire a little bit in their own defensive third, but they've worked it out well at Napolitano. Now Anguissa tucks it infield to De Bruyne, immediately spots the run of Spinazzola, diagonal ball out to this left-hand side, brought down beautifully by Spinazzola, gets inside Kusanov into the area, he manages to get goal side, the cross from Spinazzola blocked by Kusanov, but he's still got it, the Italian left-back. Looking to get to the byline, can he pull the cross in? Lovely dink cross, and Anguissa tries to nod it down for a teammate. McTominay goes to ground and Rodri can clear. 0-0.
Well, what a ball first and foremost from Kevin De Bruyne. It's something we've seen over the years, but when Spinazzola gets into the 18-yard area, Kusanov, it looks like he's going to make contact and bring him down. He doesn't do that. He just has to hold his ground, but that ball towards the back stick as he puts it there, Spinazzola. Can Anguissa, can he let it drop a little bit and get his volley away rather than head it back towards the 6-yard box?
0-0 on Talksport 2. City coming down the right-hand side with Bernardo Silva, right-hand corner of the box. Now it's laid back to Kusanov. Foden will look for Silva once again, still level with that 18-yard line. Foden now has it back. Had a much better summer. Looked good in the Club World Cup, Foden, after what was a disappointing season last year. He started this campaign well, it seems. Looking to reclaim his England spot as well as a regular City starting spot. Here is Nico O'Reilly. Back for Gvardiol, who played 12 minutes on Talksport 2. And Napoli happy to sit in their own defensive third and say to their hosts, come on then, find your way round us. Back it goes to Ruben Dias on halfway. It's City's 15th successive season in the Champions League, given away by Dias on halfway. McTominay knocks it back to Spinazzola. Now Bukema looks early down the right hand side, good control by Di Lorenzo, but given away. City have it back on halfway. Rodri slides it into Foden, middle of the Napoli half, plays it out to the left hand side. Doku just lets it run into his path and keeps it away from Di Lorenzo. Now plays it back to Reinders, left hand corner of the area, tries to clip the ball into the box. It's headed out by Bukema, but only as far as Gvardiol, keeping City in possession just over the halfway line. Now Bernardo Silva looking to create something, plays the ball across the line from right to left to O'Reilly. Manchester City 0, Napoli 0 in the Champions League on Talksport 2. 0-0 at St James's Park as well, and Yunus Akgün has given Galatasaray the lead at Eintracht Frankfurt in one of the other 8 o'clock kickoffs tonight. Reinders for Manchester City finds O'Reilly, back it goes to Guardiola, and the patience that Mickey Gray was talking about is very much having to be shown. 71% possession for the citizens so far. Doku now looking to jockey Politano as he dives for the byline, tries to get the cross in, but I think the ball was over the dead ball line. Does it? No, went out for a corner of Matteo Politano as Jeremy Doku did keep it in play. Corner kick to City, 0-0.
Yeah, Doku looked very lively at the weekend against Manchester United as well, and it's going to be a tough night for him tonight, but with his pace to try and get him behind this back line of Napoli is going to be absolutely key tonight. He's got to try and provide something for Erling Haaland or some midfield player running into those, because they're so organised, Napoli. It's going to be hard. Left wing corner from Foden to around the 6-yard box. Haaland goes up and he got his head to it, well, more the top of his head than anything else, because it drifted harmlessly wide from the Napoli point of view, and they will have a goal kick in front of their fans away to our right hand side. You're listening to Manchester City 0, Napoli 0 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Ian Danta and Mickey Gray, we're here for it too, to bring you full 90-minute commentary on this game. Napoli take a short goal kick, and it's Di Lorenzo works it back infield to Stanislav Lobotka. De Bruyne, knowing that he had Bernardo Silva, his old colleague, right at his back. Lovely play by Napoli to work it up to Scott McTominay, who brings it over halfway. Again, Spinazzola is the outlet on this left-hand side and receives it now, but only 5 yards or so inside City territory. Then Lobotka and De Bruyne exchange passes by the centre circle. Lobotka just clips it to the right-hand side and finds Bukima. Out to Politano, right-hand side. Di Lorenzo's come forward into the area. Politano with the cross, that's a corner kick, comes off Nico O'Reilly, and Napoli have their first corner kick of the game on the quarter hour mark, 0-0.
Well, I've got to say, I've been really impressed with Napoli, and I love the way that they've set up, making it very hard for Man City to break them down, but they're just waiting to pounce. As soon as the ball goes into that midfield area, you can see Scott McTominay is on his bike, and Gisa is on his bike. They're trying to get Kevin De Bruyne on the ball to play those long diagonal balls, and at times it's worked for them.
Corner kick, then left-footed in-swinger to come. De Bruyne lurking at the edge of the D. So too Spinazzola and Lobotka, with no Man City player anywhere near them. They're quite zonal, Manchester City, in terms of their defence inside the 6-yard box. 1 or 2 man marking, and Gisa and Bukima are at the far post if this kick comes in deep enough for Napoli. Hoyland standing next to Donnarumma. In comes the corner, right underneath the crossbar, headed down and saved by Donnarumma. Offside flag goes up, then the follow-up. But Donnarumma had to be smartly down to his right to make the save. I think Buongiorno was the man that got the header in. But it stays goalless on Talksport 2, but that's a scare for Man City from the corner.
Well, it's from the header down dance where the offside comes, but that is worrying for me. I was watching in the build-up, and Donnarumma was more interested in pushing Rasmus Højlund away from him. But as that chance came in from Bukima, I think it was, at the far post, he's nodded it down, he's done everything right. It has to go down as a good save, because Donnarumma's not going to know that. He's got a player in the opposition's half offside. But that's a worry for me for the City players. I was looking at how many Napoli boys were in the 18-yard box. There was 4 there. To still get first contact, that's worrying.
Manchester City 0, Napoli 0. They've scored, Napoli, in 15 of their last 16 group stage or league stage matches in the Champions League. Though this, let's not forget, is their first experience of the 36-team Mega League. As Haaland tries to make tracks downfield, the challenge that comes in, but the ball was won by Di Lorenzo, says the referee. Haaland thinks otherwise. Lorenzo's gone to ground. Don't know whether VAR might take a look at that, but it looks like Di Lorenzo's come up worse, trying to slide in on Erling Haaland, who went down in the end. What did you make of that, Mickey Gray?
Well, my initial thought is that Napoli are down to 10 men if the referee comes across and has a look at this, because Erling Haaland looks like in a foot race he gets in behind Di Lorenzo. Great through ball from Phil Foden, and you can see Haaland's clearly onside, but as he goes through, Di Lorenzo last man. Why would Haaland go down?
Did he get a touch, Di Lorenzo, on the ball? Did he get the slightest toe end on the ball? Hard to see. No, he didn't. He caught Haaland's right boot. But the referee's waving everybody away. Di Lorenzo is still down. It was outside the area. Was it denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity for Erling Haaland? That would be the question, because the ball was headed away by Napoli to halfway. Haaland was clearly onside. Di Lorenzo got his angles all wrong. Slid in to try and dispossess Haaland, and there is a potential red card check going on at Nyon, the VAR hub in Switzerland, to see whether there could indeed be a red card for Giovanni Di Lorenzo. Haaland did wave the imaginary red card, and the referee, Felix Wyatt, is coming over to the referee review area on this near side to us to check the screen, and we know what this usually leads to, a reversal of the original decision.
Absolutely, Dan. I mean, if he runs back onto this pitch, the referee here, and says there was a slight touch with one of his studs, it's beyond me, it really is, because it looked in normal play, the through ball, he just outpaced Di Lorenzo, and there's no contact with that ball, it does not move. Erling Haaland, last man, he's going through on goal. It's probably going to be 1-0 to City, and I think the decision has to be a red card.
And out comes the red card for Giovanni Di Lorenzo. Napoli are down to 10 men on the 20-minute mark, and their skipper gets the early back, denying Erling Haaland a clear goal-scoring opportunity, and that also leads, with that red card, to a free kick for the hosts right outside the Napoli penalty area.
Yeah, it had to be, Dance. It was the right call. Di Lorenzo knew he was in trouble. As soon as a defender goes to ground, you're the last man, and you're stretching out. If you don't make contact with that ball and the player goes to ground, you know exactly what's coming. I'm really surprised that I actually waited for VAR to have a look at it, because it looked in real time that it was a red card, and it's 100% it's the right call. But I feel for Napoli now, because I said they started the game very bright, they look organised, but now what are you going to get from a Conte team? Is everybody sit behind the ball and just trying to get something from the game?
Well, that's a right back who's been sent off then, as Di Lorenzo only now has made it to this near side to head back to the dressing room. Gets a half a friendly pat from Antonio Conte as he walks past his manager and heads down the tunnel. And it looks like the captain's armband has gone to Politano, who will probably fill in at right back from right midfield. But first things first, Manchester City free kick just outside the area, and there's a number of players who would love to have a crack at this. Rodri, Reinders, Foden, Bernardo Silva's moved away. Foden stood there. Kusanov is also there. Foden or Reinders, that's the two that are standing over it. It will either be the right foot of Reinders or the left foot of Foden. There's a four-man Napoli wall and a draft excluder waiting inside the area. Referee blows his whistle. It's Reinders, hits the wall and goes wide for a Manchester City corner, 0-0.
Yeah, big opportunity there for Reinders. It always looked like he was going to be taking that free kick. It was his kind of angle, but you've got to try and get it around that Napoli wall if you possibly can. But this Napoli team, for the next 2 or 3 minutes, they've just got to hang on and settle themselves down a little bit.
Foden with his latest Manchester City corner, where the south stand meets the Colin Bell, deep to the far post. This time it's a comfortable catch for Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. So 0-0, and Napoli have to reset. Do they make a substitution and bring on a defender for their captain, who's been red carded for denying Erling Haaland a clear goal scoring opportunity? Højlund trying to hold the ball up. His role is going to be even more important now for Napoli, to try and keep possession, hold the ball up and give his defenders a rest. 0-0 midway through the first half here.
Yeah, it is. I think Højlund's going to now have to start dropping a little bit deeper in towards that midfield area, just to help out a little bit and make up the numbers. But as a contest now, you're just thinking to yourself, the game is now going to completely change. What can Napoli actually do? On occasions they might get the chance of a counter-attack break, but they've got to be so precise with what they're doing now. But defensively they have to be switched on.
So City will probably spend the rest of this game camped inside the Napoli half. Can they make it count? Doku, left-hand side, level with the 18-yard line. Runs at Politano, gets to the dead ball line, tries to check back from left to right foot, and that allowed Politano. Oh, he tried to clear it, but he passed it straight to Reinders at the corner of the area. Now it goes through to Doku, who's going to try and keep it in play. Does so right by the dead ball line, onside. Reinders clips the ball into the box. Haaland heads over from the 6-yard line, right in front. Just couldn't get over the top of the ball and head it down. And then slightly over the bar, goal kick, 0-0.
It just looked like Politano had actually stopped because he thought Jeremy Doku was in an offside position. Well, the flag never went up. And the ball that's come into the area is a super ball. You can see the run from Erling Haaland getting in front of his centre half, and he's just trying to guide it. Well, lucky for him, it just went over the top of the crossbar. I think it hit the top of the netting and bounced back into the City crowd. But it's a big chance for City.
Matías Oliveira is being readied down beneath us, so he will be on sooner rather than later for Napoli to bolster their defensive ranks. Meantime, Foden volleys the ball downfield, looking to get Haaland away, but it's not that quick, Erling Haaland. And it's just rolled through to Milinkovic-Savic, 0-0.
Well, he's getting back to his best, isn't he, Dan? I think it's going to take a few more weeks, and I'm talking about Phil Foden. I thought he was excellent against Manchester United, but some of his through balls and his runs off the ball tonight been off the charts. I know he's just overcooked a pass there towards Erling Haaland, but why wouldn't you when you've got the pace of a forward like him?
Politano trying to get forward for Napoli down the right-hand side, chested the ball down, but it went out of play. And Manchester City have a throw, and the change is being made. And well, how about this? Kevin De Bruyne is going to get a very early standing ovation from around the Etihad, because he's the player that Antonio Conte has decided to sacrifice in order to bring on another defender in the shape of Matías Oliveira, the Uruguayan fullback, who's a left-back and has gone to the left-back position, so Spinazzola's gone to the right. But that's not the evening that Kevin De Bruyne had planned. He's been substituted.
Yeah, what a shame. I mean, you know, one of the reasons you come to the stadium tonight, Dance, is to see, you know, the prodigal son, if you like, coming back to his club. And to be dragged off like that because of his sending off is such a shame, really. I mean, he did show us one wonderful diagonal pass, Kevin De Bruyne-esque, if you like, but I'm absolutely gutted for him, and I wanted to see a bit more of him tonight.
He played 25 minutes and 30 seconds. If you're so inclined to like those sort of stats. But it's 0-0. 26 minutes gone now on Talksport 2. Rodri sends the ball out to Doku, left-hand side, who's now got Spinazzola as well as Politano watching him. Works it back to Reinders. Now Ruben Diaz, 30 yards out. Just chips the ball into the area. Milinkovic-Savic comes out doing the Superman and punches clear, but there was a foul on a Napoli player in the box as that cross came in. And so the Partenopei get themselves a free kick inside their own penalty area. Let's see just how much ambition they show. Down to 10, and with their creative talent of De Bruyne now substituted, I think it's just going to be about mucking in with one another and keeping this incredibly talented City lineup at bay.
I think they have to get to half-time. If they can get to half-time and it's 0-0, I think up until that point, it's job done. If they could do that, then Conte can come up with something magical where they might be able to break Man City in the latter stages of this game. But it doesn't half change a football match, Dan, does it? And Champions League football, I wanted to see 11v11. I wanted to see a real test for Man City tonight. Look, their possession was 71% before the sending off, and I think it's probably going to be higher than that at the end of this game. But it's what City do with it. How many chances can they create? They're just waiting for that big one to break Napoli down.
0-0. When I was growing up, the Italians were the masters of what they called catenaccio, that defensive style of football that frustrated teams. Would have really channeled that spirit of some of those great Italian sides that we saw, Arrigo Sacchi's Milan and various others, to try and keep out Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. 0-0, 28 minutes gone. Rodri plays it out to Nico O'Reilly, left wing. Maybe an earlier cross this time. It does come in from O'Reilly, but blocked immediately off the back of Politano. But Doku retrieves the loose ball across to Ruben Diaz, 30 yards out, thought about a shot. Works it out instead to Kuzanov, right wing. Gives it back to Ruben Diaz, rolls his foot on the ball. Now puts a right-footed cross in, but it deflects out off Scott McTominay for a throw-in. This game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Talksport 2 at the Etihad. And loads more live football to come. We've got Championship football for you tomorrow night from the Riverside Stadium. Middlesbrough against West Bromwich Albion, 8 o'clock kickoff. We come on now on Talksport 2 at 7 o'clock. Kusanov for Man City, fires it in from the right-hand side with real pace, and it had to be turned behind by Buongiorno for another Manchester City corner, 0-0.
Yeah, Buongiorno's done very well because it's a fizz ball in towards that 6-yard area from Kusanov on this right-hand side. He's got to keep his body there just to clear his lines. Bernardo Silva tried to make a lovely near-post run, so Buongiorno had to be at the right place at the right time.
Foden with his latest corner at the south stand end. Deep to the far post again. Milinkovic-Savic gets there, elects to punch it clear with his right fist. Reinders retrieves the loose ball. There was, as you might imagine, with 10 men only on the pitch, nobody on halfway for Napoli. Foden has it back, right wing. Very quiet Etihad at the moment, despite the man advantage for the hosts. Now a bit of space for Kusanov, right hand side. Again a fizz ball in from the right, but blocked at the near post by McTominay. Comes out to Rodri. Rodri into Foden just outside the area. Gets it on his left and a firm strike. But a good save by Milinkovic-Savic, low down to his left, 0-0.
I love seeing Phil Foden in that kind of 10 role, if you like. I think he enjoys playing there a lot more as well. He's got that wonderful body, hasn't he, where he can open himself up and get his strikes away, which is why he seems to get so many goals. But they're going to have to be patient, as I keep mentioning, Man City. But that movement from Foden and Reinders in those 10 positions, if you like, are going to be absolutely key now.
Kusanov for Manchester City. Still 0-0 at St James's Park between Newcastle United and Barcelona. That's live over on Talksport right now with Jim Proudfoot and Troy Deeney alongside Natalie Sawyer on Tyneside. Here's Manchester City at 0-0 with a man advantage, firing the ball out to Bernardo Silva, right hand side, level with the edge of the penalty area. Now it's worked back into the centre of the Napoli half for Rodri, faced up by Anguissa. Rodri again, short pass into the feet of Reinders, lovely turn from Tijani Reinders up to the edge of the area, flicks it out left to Doku, left hand corner of the box, he plays it backwards to square to Rodri. Rodri fires it out to the right hand side and Bernardo Silva tries to tee up Foden at the edge of the area, but he was asking a lot of his teammate with the ball that was fed into Foden's feet. Napoli get it half clear, but Højlund can't keep hold of it. City have it back 0-0.
Yeah, it's so difficult for Rasmus Højlund, you know, whether we want to criticise him or not, but when the outlet ball is 6-footed in the air and he's got to try and bring it down on his chest, it's so difficult for him to do, and he's just got to play that striker's role. That's so hard when you haven't got any support around you from the left or the right hand side.
No Lukaku for Napoli. That's out to Josko Gvardiol with a drive from fully 30 yards out, blocked by Buongiorno and Bukima between them. And Napoli end up winning a throw on the right hand side. And what you say, Mickey Gray, is absolutely correct. If you're looking at this from the Napoli and Antonio Conte point of view, get to 0-0 at half time if you possibly can, and then try and regroup and see if there's another way in which they can keep Manchester City out for the second 45.
Well, exactly. I mean, look, it's all they can do, really. You know, they've obviously had that nightmare going down to 10 men and knowing to themselves that they're going to have to hang on if they're going to get something from the game tonight.
There's a Napoli player gone to ground. I think it's Bukima. Meantime, Milinkovic-Savic has fired it downfield, and Politano's got away down the right-hand side. O'Reilly gets back at him and concedes a corner kick that Napoli will gladly take at the family stand end away to our left-hand side. 32 gone, 0-0.
Yeah, he might have a problem here, Nico O'Reilly. I think he twisted his knee as he got back and made a wonderful challenge on Politano over on this left-hand side. Oh, he stamped on his knee. I mean, look, it's an accident. He didn't mean to do it. He put his hands straight up in the air, but thankfully he's back up on his feet and he's okay, O'Reilly.
So Politano's going across to take this corner where the family stand meets the east stand opposite us here at the Etihad. We're sat at the back of the bottom tier of the Colin Bell stand behind the dugouts. Pep Guardiola's gone to sit down. Antonio Conte prowling the edge of his technical area like a caged tiger. In it comes from Politano and caught by Donnarumma comfortably inside his 6-yard box, 0-0.
Well, I was going to say about two continental goalkeepers in front of us, Dan, so I've seen over the years that whenever that ball comes anywhere near the area from corners or wide free kicks, they normally get their fist through it. We've seen it from Milinkovic-Savic on 2 or 3 occasions tonight. He's done it very well. But Donnarumma there, I mean, he's just plucked that one out of the sky. Absolutely brilliant. The confidence flowing through him at the moment.
Doku for Manchester City popping up on the right-hand side just for a moment. And then it's Rodri clipping it across to O'Reilly in the inside left channel, midway point of the Napoli half. Now right in the centre of the half, Ruben Diaz flicks it to his right for Rodri. Foden looks early for Haaland, who couldn't get past the challenge of Buongiorno. And it's just anywhere will do for Napoli just to get it away from their 18-yard box. But Manchester City have it back. Rodri finds Doku, staying central for the moment, the Belgian winger. Now Bernardo Silva picks it at right-hand side. Trying to pick the lock here, Manchester City. Doku scheming his way to the right-hand corner of the penalty area. Then goes down under a challenge. Referee says play on as Bernardo Silva swings play from right to left. Guardiola with the cross into the box. Slightly awkward goalkeeping from Milinkovic-Savic with his defender Buongiorno getting in his way. But Napoli do enough to win it, and now they try and bring it clear and give their defenders a bit of a rest. Anguissa just puts his foot on the ball, midway point of his own half, to try and slow things down. And then Spinazzola, now playing in a slightly unfamiliar position for him of right back, gets it back to his keeper Milinkovic-Savic, but that's a lazy ball down the centre of the field, come to be picked off by City. Here comes Foden, looking for Bernardo Silva near the right-hand corner of the box. Tries a quick turn, he's got support from Husanov on his outside. Reinders now takes over, slides it out to Husanov in the right wing. Won't put the ball in yet though, gives it back to Ruben Diaz. Now Husanov again, first on ball back in field to Ruben Diaz. Everyone behind the ball in those dark blue Napoli shirts. Reinders, right-hand corner of the penalty area, looks for an option, plays it back out to Husanov right wing. Still the ball won't go into the box. Perhaps Diaz will supply the cross. He does, looking for Haaland at the far post, but the angle is very tight. Haaland did his best to try and keep it in play at best, but it went behind for a Napoli goal kick. 0-0 with 10 minutes to go to half-time on Talksport 2.
You know what, Dance? That defender from Napoli was absolutely first class. Italian defenders, you know exactly, if the ball goes in wide areas, the crosses come into the area, you're supposed to mark your man, I get the better of my man. They were patient, they stayed in their positions. I think the only way City break Napoli down tonight is a silly mistake coming out and trying playing out from the back, or if City show that crisp passing in through the 18-yard area. They'll deal with crosses all night long tonight, they really will. They love all that defending. But going back to when it was Anguissa, when they did break out, you see he had that little look up and he was looking for the run of Højlund, and he's thinking, well, if I give it to him, we're going to give the ball away, it's going to come straight back to us. That is the problem when you're down to 10 men. Everything has to be so precise.
Thoughts of Mickey Gray alongside me, Ian Danter on Talksport 2. 0-0, 36 and a half gone at the Etihad. City looking to find a way through 10-man Napoli, with Di Lorenzo sent off early in the piece. Cross from Bernardo Silva looking for Haaland, cleared away and then fired back in. An offside flag goes up against, I think, Reinders, or O'Reilly in actual fact, who was closest to the keeper, but I think it was Rodri that hit that strike from outside the box. Fearsome hit, but well saved by Milinkovic-Savic, not knowing that there was a City player offside. And it is the Napoli fans making all the noise inside this stadium at the moment.
Well, they've got to try and make that 11th man for Napoli now, haven't they, Dan Snow? We talked so many times about being the 12th man, but now down to 10 men, Napoli. And I wouldn't even say they're hanging on at the moment. Yeah, they're defending, they've been very good, astute, clearing the lines, just doing what they need to do. And it's about just getting the job done. As I mentioned before, get to half-time, listen to what your manager has to come up with, and if he comes up with something special, you might break City down.
Anguissa trying to burst through the midfield. It might break for him a second time. Rolls it through to McTominay, but Husanov gets goal side and puts it out of play for a throw. Just for a moment there, Napoli showed a bit of ambition in midfield, and the former Fulham man nearly supplied McTominay with a perfect through ball. 0-0.
Just got a little bit too much on it, Anguissa, didn't he? He was very strong to win the ball back, and you can see the run inside from Scott McTominay. He wanted to play it onto his right foot so he could get his shot away first time. Just got a little bit away from him.
Oliveira on as a substitute after Di Lorenzo was red carded. He will take this throw, the Uruguayan for Napoli, 10 yards from the corner flag, looking for Anguissa at the near post. Manchester City get it half clear. Oliveira tries to get his foot into it, but Foden sends it downfield. Doku trying to get the better of Spinazzola, used all his experience there, Leonardo Spinazzola, just to ease Doku out the way and win it back for Napoli, 0-0.
Clever, isn't it? Like a little nudge, just to take you off balance a little bit, just to win the ball back for your team. It's great experience, absolutely fantastic, and the more they can just take the sting out of this game, the better it's going to be for the away side.
6 minutes to half time. Offside flag goes up against Højlund, but the referee says play on as City at 0-0 come forward with Phil Foden 10 yards inside the Napoli half of the field, plays it infield to Rodri and then further across to Nico O'Reilly, who's come 15 yards infield from his left back position. Rodri finds Ruben Diaz. Diaz seeing a lot of the ball for Manchester City, but when he's been in several positions to send it into the box, he's not done so. Now what will Doku do? Out left-hand side. Whistles go up from the Napoli fans at that end of the ground. O'Reilly with the first-time ball into the box. Reinders trying to tee himself up for a shot, and it forced the challenge to come in from Bukima to turn it behind for a corner. But Tijani Reinders nearly set himself up right in front of goal. 0-0.
Well, if anybody can remember, I'm sure we do here, Dance, the Dennis Bergkamp goal where he's took the touch and span it round the defender when he played for Arsenal against Newcastle.
Yeah.
It was very similar to that. But I have to say, defensive-wise, absolutely brilliant again from Bukima. Just kept his line and cleared his lines.
Foden's corner, up goes Milinkovic-Savic, punches clear only as far as Rodri, but he couldn't get the shot away, taken off his toe by Anguissa. Comes out to the centre of the Napoli half. Kuzanov finds Reinders, winding up for a shot, maybe. No, he rolls his foot on the ball and then plays it square back to Bernardo Silva. Silva with a cross, nodded down by Reinders and tipped wide by Milinkovic-Savic this time for another Manchester City corner, 0-0.
Well, I think it's Nico O'Reilly who eventually gets himself into the 18-yard area. It's a whip ball in from Bernardo Silva, and I said these Italians will love defending corners.
Here's the next corner, and it's a header from Guardiola kept out by Milinkovic-Savic. Foden with the next cross. It can't connect for Ruben Diaz. Comes back to Rodri. Hits it against Højlund. Comes out to the edge of the area. Kuzanov tries a drive and it thumps into the defender Politano, the captain, who's gone down inside the D outside his own area as Kuzanov let a rocket go from 30 yards out straight into the midriff of the Napoli captain. But we just saw an effort there from Ruben Diaz from a header kept out by Milinkovic-Savic, making some excellent saves here, the Serbian keeper, to keep it goalless for 10-man Napoli.
Yeah, he's done really well, I have to say, Milinkovic-Savic. Made some very important saves. The one from Nico O'Reilly, initially that skidded off the turf. He done very well to creep across to his right-hand side. The next one from Ruben Diaz, in the right place at the right time, but he looks very good, doesn't he? Look, when you get in behind Napoli, you're going to have to break this goalkeeper down at the moment as well. And I think City, Dance, I don't know if you agree with this, need to take a few more risks. Yes, they look lively in the last couple of minutes from set pieces, but somebody take that risk.
Doku, could he take a risk down the left-hand side? Rolls it back to Rodri, lets it go through his feet. Then Guardiola goes for goal, but he was always going wide. The keeper knew it. So it's a goal kick in the end to Napoli. 3 minutes of normal time to go. You're listening to Manchester City 0, Napoli 0 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Milinkovic-Savic he's on loan from Torino, in actual fact, at Napoli. This is his Champions League debut tonight. Started at the weekend against Fiorentina. He had to make way for Alex Merritt for the first two games, but Antonio Conte clearly liked what he saw in Florence, has kept him in the side, and he's made some important stops. He's a giant of a man as well. He's definitely as tall as Donnarumma is at the other end. He's just picked up the ball. 0-0.
I think he's looked really confident, I have to say. I mean, at times, Danson, we see it with a lot of continental goalkeepers, they just fist things away rather than catching it, but he's done ever so well.
But it's still 2 minutes to half-time for Manchester City to try and exploit the man advantage before the whistle goes. Up to the edge of the area, Reinders running out of room, deflects out to Doku. Doku slides it to the area, looking for Reinders once more, but it gets away from him, and Milinkovic-Savic can just let it dribble behind for a goal kick. It's a real battle of wits now tactically between Messrs Guardiola and Conte, with Napoli down to 10 men. there were some quotes from Pep Guardiola about 8 years ago talking about how much he revered Antonio Conte, saying he was superb. Maybe he's the best coach, he said. He was able to make Italy play beautiful football, Juventus too. It's a good lesson for me to see his teams and learn, said Pep 8 years ago.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I think when it comes down to tactics and setting up a team, I have to say I think Conte is the better manager. He can organise a team that are really, really hard to break down, and he look where he's won his titles, the trophies he's won, and you see him in that technical area. I mean, he never stops. I think when it comes to guile and breaking teams down, yeah, I think you'd have to tick the box of Pep Guardiola, but I mean, we're talking at two elite managers in front of us.
0-0, Manchester City have it. Last minute of the first half, Foden clips it into the box, flicked on by Reinders, but over the top. Just put too much on the flicked header as he ran across the penalty area from left to right, just trying to improvise a flick header, but got, as I say, too much on it. Goal kick to Napoli, and the Napoli fans in those two tiers of the south stand away to our right, singing in unison and quite happy that their team, down a man, are still levels your devils. They've had one shot on target in this half, and that was back in the 17th minute. And I can't imagine they'll have too many shots on target throughout the rest of this game. And Gisa goes down, wants a foul, not given by the referee. Doku won it cleanly. Going into 4 minutes of minimum stoppage time at the end of this first half on Talksport 2. Oh, and then Reinders with a slightly lazy ball looking for Doku. He thought out the left-hand side, but he'd reckoned without a backtracking Politano win it back for Napoli. Politano now down the right-hand side. Clips it infield for Anguissa as they move into the City half on a rare occasion. Now it's with Oliveira. Lobotka, who sits just in front of the back four, plays a lovely crossfield ball, chested down by Politano, keeps it in play, just faced up by O'Reilly, level with the 18-yard line, rolls it back, played into the area for Scott McTominay. McTominay lays it back to Politano, three waiting for a cross. It's laid back to Bakima. Oh, poor touch from Bakima. He had Lobotka waiting for it at the edge of the area. Instead, he just gave it to Rodri and said, go on, fella, you can have it back.
Well, do you know what? I can't believe that. It's a really good move from Napoli, and they had three chances, Dance, to put the ball in the box. Politano on a couple of occasions, and Anguissa had the chance first time just to whip it in the box. Rasmus Højlund's waiting there. He's looking for the service all night. He's not going to get much. As a striker, I'm saying to my wide players, why are you not putting that ball in the area? That's my chance to get away from my marker and give us the lead in this game. But that was a let-off. That was really poor.
We played just over a minute of the minimum 4 that have been added on. Manchester City 0, 10-man Napoli 0. There was a red card inside the opening quarter for Giovanni Di Lorenzo. Here's Ruben Diaz, thought about a shot from the edge of the D, plays it out right to Bernardo Silva, got defenders backpedaling, checks onto his right and again his left, rolls it back to the edge of the area, and it stayed out somehow. The shot came in from the edge of the area from Rodri, and I think it hit the inside of the post and went straight to the grateful arms of the goalkeeper. 0-0.
Well, the celebration from Politano is absolutely incredible here. He gets the touch. It's brilliant defending from Politano, working back, helping out defensively, just gets the touch. It's going inside of the goal, inside of the post. He gets the slightest touch, takes all the sting out of it and makes it simple for the goalkeeper, and then his celebrations were brilliant.
Oliveira does well to win the ball back from Kuzanov, and then went to ground, no foul, says the referee. Now the City fans are getting a bit louder. Crossfield ball looks to pick out Doku, but Politano stops him getting a run at him. And then he fouls Doku, says the referee. Free kick to Manchester City down the left-hand side of the penalty area. Conte and his coaching staff can't believe that was given against them. Pep Guardiola just looks at the AstroTurf in his technical area and won't make eye contact with his opposite number. 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a foul at the end of the day, Dan. I think what we've seen over the last two nights of Champions League football is the referees are trying to let the games flow, which has been brilliant. But on that occasion, he just drifted his left arm around Jeremy Doku, I think it was, over on that left-hand side. He doesn't want to give fouls away, but I think in that occasion, I think it's the right call here.
Free kick to Manchester City, 0-0. as we edge towards half-time. We're in the last minute of the minimum 4 that have been added on. Foden's free kick from the left-hand side, along the deck into the near post and turned wide by a City player. It's been given as a goal kick. Haaland might have been the final player that got the touch, but the angle was very tight. And we've just seen a replay again of Politano intercepting that goal-bound shot from Rodri, diverting it back into the arms of his keeper. And as Mickey Gray rightly said, he roared like Gerwyn Price hitting a 1-3-2 checkout with a champagne finish.
It was.
But it's situations like that, Dance, isn't it? That's as good as a goal. A clearance like that from what's supposed to be your wide player, helping out defensively, top class.
And there goes the half-time whistle, and Napoli have made it to the turnaround, keeping a clean sheet against Manchester City, who've been buzzing all around that Napoli penalty area during the first 45 minutes. Vanja Milinkovic-Savic has made a couple of very important saves to keep the scores level. This after a red card for Giovanni Di Lorenzo early in the game for denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity to Erling Haaland. VAR took a look, advised the referee Felix Weyer to come to the referee review area. He did. He issued the red card, but Antonio Conte has now got to try and tell his players how they can keep out 11-man Manchester City for another 45 minutes plus here on Talksport 2. Mickey Gray, your thoughts?
Really, really interesting first half. I think we knew that Man City were going to have a lot of possession. It's what they do with it at the end of it, but it's going to be one of those nights, especially now that Napoli are down to 10 men. They're just going to have to defend for their lives, which they have done in that first 45 minutes. Can Conte come up with something in the second half where he gets that one chance to break down Manchester City? That's all they're hoping for. But first game in this league stage, you've got to try and come away with something, get that point on the board, which gives you that little bit of momentum. But a really good, interesting first half. Just a shame that Napoli have gone down to 10 men.
But this could be a tactical masterclass from Antonio Conte. If he can keep things level, if he can see this out and get a point for Napoli, well, he'll really put one over on Pep Guardiola. But you look at that bench for Manchester City, there's players that can come on and make a difference. You think of Savinho, you think of Nunez, Oscar Bob could be fleet of foot, but there isn't really another central striker that they can call upon. So Haaland, who's been largely starved of service other than that moment when the red card occurred, I don't know, there's lots of things for Pep to ponder about how Manchester City alter their tactics.
Do you know, Dan, yeah, you can look at the substitutes bench. I more look at the 11 that are out there, and Pep going in at half-time and saying to his players, look guys, great possession, we're getting into some good areas, but who's going to risk something? Who's going to try something out of the ordinary? We're getting into really good positions out wide. It's not working for us. They're defending for their lives. They're clearing their lines, as we've seen on numerous occasions. And when we do that, the goalkeeper's there, and he's helped them out on 2 or 3 occasions. Is it going to be Phil Foden or Reinders who's just going to play that pass around the corner, crisp, and somebody just bright as Erling Haaland to get on the end of it to break this really stern back line of Napoli down? Because at the moment, yeah, we're going to talk about how well Man City are playing, wonderful football, but have they created too many chances? Yes, they have from corners, I suppose. That chance where I talked about Politano coming back, he's cleared his lines from there. But other than that, I think of the top sides, Real Madrid, Barcelona, if you like, Paris Saint-Germain, I think they would have been able to break them down. It's very hard.
And just quickly, the crowd have got to get more involved as well, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, Pep, we've seen Pep waving his arms around as he's done on numerous occasions in Champions League nights. It can be flat here. Maybe there's an expectancy sometimes, and because they've gone down to 10 men, they maybe expect to win this game, but it's not going to be as easy as that.
That's Mickey Gray alongside me, Ian Danter, here at the Etihad Stadium, where Manchester City are a man up, but they are not a goal up yet on night 1 of the Champions League for 2025-26. We'll bring you full second half commentary of this game in just a moment. You'll also hear from more of the headline makers with our next live game tomorrow night on Talksport 2 coming from the Championship. You'll hear from the West Bromwich Albion manager Ryan Mason very shortly. But at half-time here in the Champions League at the Etihad, it's Manchester City 0, Napoli 0.
Champions League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
TNT Sports presents.
We're all set.
Over 185 UEFA Champions League games. And all 342 Europa and Conference League matches.
Spurs have won the Europa League.
The stage is set.
Absolutely brilliant.
Get all these competitions in one place with TNT Sports on Discovery Plus, or watch TNT Sports channels on EE, Sky and Virgin Media. Subscription required. Age 18 plus. T's and C's apply.
Looking for a van that works as hard as you do? Meet the Fiat Professional Doblo. With load capacity up to 1 ton and smart touches like rear parking sensors and Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Need flexibility? The third seat on Doblo has a load-free bulkhead to maximize its load length. Fiat Professional Doblo, natural-born worker. Available with 0% APR with minimum 20% deposit. Conditional sale subject to status and availability. TNC Stellantis Financial Services.
Looking for your perfect travel partner? Someone you can trust to help you plan your dream trip. Introducing Times Holidays, a brand new service from the Times. Our expert travel advisors use the insight and knowledge that only the Times can bring. From tailor-made adventures and safaris to all-inclusive cruises and beach retreats. Explore, plan and now book with Times Holidays. Visit thetimes.com/holidays. Trust us to take you there.
In the UK, there are more than 3 million lost pensions.
Find us.
At AJ Bell, we're on a mission to reunite you with yours. In fact, every time we track down a pension, we ring a bell. It's really quite fun. If you love the sound of bells, it's definitely not a little annoying. Can we turn the music up a bit? These bells are doing my head in. Open an account today and let us help find your long-lost pensions. AJ Bell. Feel good investing. Pension criteria apply. The value of your investments can go down as well as up.
Right, what's for dinner tonight? Co-op's new meal range served takes the hassle out of cooking. Choose from a selection of Italian-inspired mains and sides. And dinner is served for 2. All for just £7 for Co-op members. Co-op. Owned by you. Right by you.
£8 for non-members. Ends 28th of October. Co-op group membership required. Selected products subject to availability. See co-op.co.uk/serve.
Power up your business with the new iPhone 17 Pro. With breakthrough battery life and advanced security, it's the ultimate Pro iPhone for staying ahead. And at Vodafone Business, you can save more thanks to our trade-in guarantee. Go online or in-store today. Vodafone.
Eligibility, credit and trade-in checks apply. Subject to terms.
Your live sports station.
Oh, what a move.
This is Talksport 2. NFL Live, Friday from 0100 BST on Talksport 2. You won't miss a blitz, a rush, a tackle, or a touchdown of the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. Over to you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Here full coverage of the all-highfalutin, rootin' tootin' action.
Friday from 0100 BST on Talksport 2.
The passion, the pain, and the poetry of the beautiful game.
Overhead kick. Brilliant goal.
The Champions League live on Talksport 2.
City will get us underway. They'll be kicking towards the south stand. 2 Napoli players facing him once again. Gives it back to Reinders. Left-hand corner of the area. Winds up for a shot. And Milinkovic-Savic has to turn it over.
City are going to have to be very, very patient tonight. And I think that's going to be the story of the night, dance, because it's going to be hard to break down Napoli.
As Haaland tries to make tracks downfield. The challenge that comes in, but the ball was won by Di Lorenzo, says the referee. Haaland thinks otherwise. Lorenzo's gone to ground.
My initial thought is that Napoli are down to 10 men. If the referee comes across and has a look at this,
the referee, Felix Wyatt, is coming over to the referee review area on this near side to us. And out comes the red card for Giovanni Di Lorenzo. Napoli are down to 10 men on the 20-minute mark. Well, how about this? Kevin De Bruyne is going to get a very early standing ovation from around the Etihad because he's the player that Antonio Conte has decided to sacrifice. Silva with a cross, nodded down by Reinders and tipped wide by Milinkovic-Savic this time for another Manchester City corner, 0-0.
Stood really well, I have to say. Milinkovic-Savic made some very important saves.
Rolls it back to the edge of the area, and it's, it stayed out somehow The shot came in from the edge of the area from Rodri, and I think it hit the inside of the post and went straight to the grateful arms of the goalkeeper. 0-0.
City, Dan, so I don't know if you agree with need to take a few more risks. Yes, they've looked lively in the last couple of minutes from set pieces, but somebody take that risk.
Talksport 2 at the Etihad Stadium. Half-time score. Manchester City 0, 10-man Napoli 0. This game being brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. I'm Ian Dante, your match commentator. Mickey Gray's alongside me tonight. Full second half commentary from the Etihad to come. To update you on all the other scores tonight in the Champions League. The early games finished. Club Brugge 4, Monaco 1, and FC Copenhagen 2, Bayer Leverkusen 2. At half-time in Frankfurt, it's Eintracht 3, Galatasaray 1. They were 1-0 down there, Frankfurt. 0-0 here at the Etihad between Manchester City and 10-man Napoli. 0-0 over on Talksport at St James's Park between Newcastle and Barcelona. And Sporting are 1-0 up in Lisbon against Kairat Almaty in the other Champions League 8 o'clock kickoff tonight. Well, I mentioned earlier in commentary that we're into day 3 of 20 consecutive days with live football across the Talksport network, and our live offering for you tomorrow evening is up in the northeast. Championship action with league leaders Middlesbrough facing playoff chasing West Brom. We've had a decent start to life under their new manager Ryan Mason, once of Spurs. Ahead of the game, our very own Tom Ross sat down with the Baggies manager to get his thoughts on the trials and tribulations of a championship season thus far.
It's not a surprise. I've played it, so I've felt it, and then I'm a football fan, so I've been watching the Championship, League One, League Two for many years now. It's demanding. I think, yeah, you see last night with the Carabao Cup game, it's never over until the referee blows the whistle. There's always so many late goals. There's always so many balls coming in your box, regardless of how well you've done. Normally, the last 10 minutes of games, there's balls coming in your box. So you have to have men that are willing to stand up and fight. And yeah, not surprising. Understand the difficulties of it and the challenges that are there.
You're off to Middlesbrough. What do you expect to see from them? Top of the table, unbeaten. They're buzzing with confidence. So are your team. What do you expect to see from them on the pitch about how they play, etc.?
Yeah, they're obviously quite set in their system, and it probably suits the attributes of their players. So we understand the challenges that's going to bring. But at the same time, we feel like we can cause them problems as well. We've got to go there. We've got to have personality. That's going to be important because, like I say, the energy in the stadium is going to be big. That's something to be excited by. It's a big challenge, and I'm certainly excited for it.
And just finally, you as a manager, this is your first full-time gig, if you like. How are you finding it? Because when you're number one, there's nowhere else to turn. You're the man responsible and accountable. How tough is that to deal with?
I think the important side of that is having members of staff and people around you that are in it with you. Of course, it's my responsibility, but at the same time, there's so many people, there's so much hard work that goes into everything, and we're in it together. There's so many people inside of the club that are pulling in the same direction, and yeah, that's the challenge, to keep pushing, keep trying to improve as much as possible and as quick as possible.
Ryan Mason, the West Bromwich Albion manager, and his team have made a pretty decent start under his tutelage in the Championship, but a proper test for them tomorrow night at the Riverside that you can hear live on Talksport 2. Our coverage starts from 7. Hugh Wozencroft, your host, Mark Wilson and Big Chris Uwelemo, your commentary team for Middlesbrough against West Brom, 8 o'clock kickoff. And if you're a fan of the EFL, then Saturdays, Talksport 2 is the place to be. From 10 in the morning through to tea time, we bring you wall-to-wall EFL. It starts with the EFL All Access show hosted by Hugh Wozencroft. Then from 11 a.m, the EFL Fan Network, brilliant show talking to podcasters from the Talksport Fan Network around the EFL that are making the headlines in the past 7 days. And then our live games start. For example, on Saturday, back-to-back Championship commentaries, Leicester against Coventry, a Midlands derby at 12:30. Natalie Sawyer, your host, Adam Bridge, and Mark Albrighton, the former Leicester winger, will be your commentary team. And then I'll be up at Bramall Lane alongside Perry Groves, the former Arsenal winger, to see if Chris Wilder's third spell as Sheffield United manage to get off to a winning start. They're taking on Nathan Jones Charlton. And over on Talksport at the same time, we also have Premier League offerings at lunchtime, the Merseyside derby at 12:30 on Talksport, and Fulham Brentford for a West London derby in the evening. And Monday night football is for the Championship as well here on Talksport 2. Millwall against Watford from the Den, an 8 o'clock kickoff. Congratulations to Manchester United women's team. They've reached the Champions League group stage for the first time in their history. They beat SK Brann by 3-0. Tomorrow's draw for the league phase opponents, that'll be made at 11 o'clock in the morning. And Manchester United will be back in WSL action against Arsenal Sunday afternoon here on Talksport 2. Joe Shannon and Lucy Ward will be your commentary team at Lee Sports Village. And there you go, just wall-to-wall football from all sorts of different competitions. It's fantastic. But back here at the Etihad Stadium, the teams are back out ready for the second half. I should remind you there's a load of NFL action to come up with week 3 over the weekend. Dolphins against the Bills. Sunday evening, 11 hours of live action. The Jaguars and the Texans, the Cardinals and the 49ers. And then the Giants and the Chiefs in the early hours of Monday morning. So across the sports, Talksport and Talksport 2 has it covered. Manchester City get us back underway. No changes at half-time for either manager. Antonio Conte did make that change after the red card for Di Lorenzo, bringing on Matias Oliveira in place of Kevin De Bruyne, who had to make way so soon after returning to the club. I'll run you through the lineups in a minute. City in their traditional sky blue shirts and socks with the white shorts, attacking the family stand away to our left, the stand they love to attack in the second half of games. Napoli's change strip tonight. They would normally wear sky blue like their hosts. They're wearing an all dark blue ensemble tonight, the Italian champions. Josko Gvardiol works the ball back to Donnarumma. So it's as you were for City. Donnarumma in goal, then Husanov, Diaz, Gvardiol, O'Reilly, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Reinders, Foden, Doku and Haaland. For Napoli, it's Milinkovic-Savic in goal. It's now Spinazzola, Bukima, Buongiorno and Oliveira, Lobotka, Politano, Anguissa, McTominay and Højlund, making up the rest of the 9 outfield players for Antonio Conte's side. Played out to the right-hand side for Manchester City, and again we're waiting for the fans to give the players that second wind, Mickey Gray, as the second half gets underway. Doku here, left-hand side. I'll bring Mickey in a minute, but Doku's just got Politano backpedaling as he gets into the area, fires the ball across the face of goal, but kept away from Reinders, who was flying in by Buongiorno, who's really enjoying his defending tonight at the back for Napoli, and he's getting plenty of it to do. Played across to Gvardiol, cutting in field in the centre of the Napoli half, gives it out right to Husanov, and again Manchester City not putting it straight into the area as they might be tempted to do. Doku receives it left hand side of the area, drives for the byline, the cross is deflected up in the air by Politano. Napoli get it half clear again, play back to the edge of the area, but Oliveira can't keep hold of it. The pattern's emerging again at the start of this second half, Mickey.
Yeah, it's very similar, isn't it? And this is why you've got to try and go through the gears a little bit quicker. They've got half a chance here, City, but yeah, it's a lot of possession, trying to get the ball into those wide areas. Doku put a decent ball into the box.
Here's a drive from O'Reilly that's blocked on its way to goal by Buongiorno, and it deflects out to the left-hand side, but it's kept in play by Jeremy Doku. Doku plays the ball into Reinders, who finds to fire it across the 6-yard line, and it went behind for a corner kick. And Bukima has stayed down. He's picked up a knock from that last shot that was fired in from the edge of the area. So before the corner can be taken for Napoli, they've got a player down, but he won't want to get treatment because that would leave just 9 players out there to defend a corner with if he has to go off getting treatment.
Yeah, he's back on his feet, and I think he's going to say, yeah, I'm okay for the time being, but it's better from Doku and Reinders over on this left-hand side. The movement's quicker, getting in behind, and that's what they have to do. They've got to brighten things up a little bit, City.
Foden's corner to around the penalty spot, flicked away by a Napoli head, comes out to Bernardo Silva 30 yards out, goes out to the right wing where Doku's stationed for the moment. up against Oliveira, darts for the byline, thinks about a cross, lays it back instead to O'Reilly. Now Rodri gives it back to young Nico O'Reilly, right hand corner of the box, feeds it into Bernardo Silva at the edge of the D, across the Foden left hand side. Now Reinders picks it up 30 yards out, but he's closed down immediately by Politano. City look to send it out to the right hand side, and Doku, who got it in the end despite the attentions of Oliveira. And here's Ruben Dias again, midway point of the Napoli half, gets away from Lobotka, feeds Foden near the left hand corner of the box. O'Reilly still pushing, probing City, looking to carve open the Napoli defence. Doku right hand side still for the moment, finds Rodri, up to Reinders at the edge of the area, but too heavy a touch allowed Napoli to get possession back. But a hurried clearance from Buongiorno just lobs out of play on the far side of the field, and City get a throw. We've played nearly 5 minutes of the second half, still 0-0.
Well, we're watching the Italian champions here, Dance, who are down to 10 men, who've been asked to do a job defensively to stop Manchester City.
As Foden fires the ball across the face of goal, fed by Doku, left-hand side of the area, but screwed a shot well wide in the end. Just had to hit it on instinct, but it went wide of the post. A goal kick to Napoli. Carry on, Mickey Gray.
I was saying they've been asked to do a job tonight, the Italian champions in Napoli, of trying to stop Man City from breaking them down. The odd occasion City look like they're starting to get in down this left-hand side, and it's that number 10 run, as I mentioned in the first half, from Reinders and from Phil Foden. That's kind of the blind midfield run, if you like. One touch out your feet, gets his shot away. He's disappointed because he scuffs it. But on the odd occasion, they just switch off Napoli, and that's where City have got to try and pounce.
Buongiorno sends it down the left-hand side, and Napoli are coming forward for the first time in a while. Højlund goes down, wanting a foul, looks at the referee imploringly and got nothing out of Felix Roy, our German official. And naturally that's going to incense Antonio Conte down in front of us. You're listening to Manchester City 0, Napoli 0 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it, book now at enterprise.co.uk. Ian Dancer and Mickey Gray with you at the Etihad tonight. Stanislav Lobotka puts his foot in, wins it back for Napoli down the left-hand side of the Anguissa, wins a throw 10 yards from the dead ball line. Napoli are attacking the south stand end where the 2,700 travelling supporters are, and they've got the ball down that end of the field for the first time in a while.
Yeah, and listen, look at Pep in front of us now, waving his arms out. He's absolutely fuming inside, you know. He wants his crowd to get behind his team and urge them on to a win in front of their home supporters. It's not happening, Dance.
And Geisa in the area pulls it back to the penalty spot. There wasn't anybody there in a Napoli shirt. It actually got to the feet of Jeremy Doku, but Anguissa got in a very dangerous position, and now Politano's getting a yellow card as Doku just ran round him and got a yellow card for his trouble there. The man who got the captain's armband after the red card for Di Lorenzo. Free kick to Manchester City in the centre circle, 0-0, 7 gone.
Simple yellow card to give, wasn't it? Just wonder, with Politano doing that in the centre circle, maybe he could have hung on to that yellow card for a little bit longer, because I'm sure as the minutes get ticked off, there's going to be some tired legs out there, but look, he thought there was a break going on. He's probably done the right thing for his team.
Rodri now for Manchester City at 0-0. If you're just tuning in, Napoli have been down to 10 men since the 20th minute. Here's Phil Foden. Again, centre of the Napoli half. Kuzanov out to Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side. He's got Oliveira closing down the space. It's worked back in field, misses out Reinders, and that'll be Politano's ball, and he's picked it up, kept it away from Doku. And then Spinazzola, who started the game at left-back, but now playing at right-back, manages to get it downfield, but couldn't find Højlund anywhere near find Højlund. And there is going to be a change, and we are going to see Juan Jesus come on in a moment for Napoli. Meantime, Reinders for Manchester City tries to play a 1-2 with O'Reilly, and Geisa can't get it clear. Doku, left-hand corner of the area, drives for the byline, clips it well beyond everybody. Oh, brought down brilliantly by Bernardo Silva beyond the far post. It's worked back to Gvardiol, tries to nick it into the area, but got caught in two minds there, Josko Gvardiol, and ends up toe-ending it through to the goalkeeper Milinkovic-Savic. 0-0.
And it was that cross again from Jeremy Doku. It's got to be so precise, because, as I said before, Napoli they want to defend for their lives, and they certainly have done. They're playing out from the back at the moment, but that quality from Doku has to improve
if he plays any balls in the air, it never really seems to get to any of his teammates. When he fizzes it across the 6-yard area, that's when he looks more of a dangerous player, like he did against Manchester United on Sunday.
0-0. Politano just puts his foot through it, sends it downfield, trying to get Højlund away. Instead, Guardiola to put it out of play. And here comes that change. I talked about the Brazilian defender Juan Jesus is going to come on, and it's actually Politano who's being withdrawn here. Now, I don't know, Mickey Gray, whether that's down to the yellow card that he's just got. He's certainly not carrying any kind of a knock, but not only has Jesus come on, he's taken the armband, and he will go into the centre of the Napoli defence. What do you make of that change, Mickey Gray?
Well, when you picked up that yellow card and there's so much time left in the game, and you're playing up against, I suppose in his case there, Politano against Jeremy Doku, you know, who's very tricky at times. You know, you don't want to be going down to 9 men. It's so difficult for them right now at the moment. I think bringing in Jesus, he's just gone into that central position, as you just mentioned there before. He's got good experience, and I think Antonio Conte probably knows that he can't afford to hang on to one of his players having that yellow card for so long left in the game.
So it's now Bukima at right back. You've got Jesus and Buongiorno as centre halves, and then Spinazzola. No, Spinazzola's still there at right back. They're readjusting as we go on the fly. So Bukima and it looks like 3 at the back in actual fact. They've got 3 centre halves out there, haven't they? Bukima and Buongiorno and Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus looks as if he's kind of drifted towards that left side, but why not? Why would you not put an extra defender on? It's up to City to break them down, and they've not come up with the answers as of yet.
Pep Guardiola cutting the most frustrated figure at the moment. Hands on hips, you can get 2 rolls of carpet under his arms. The way his ball flicks into the area. Haaland suddenly heads it over the keeper, and that gets rid of all the frustration for Pep Guardiola and his team, because now Erling Haaland has 50 Champions League goals in record time in this competition, and this was an improvised header just nicked over the goalkeeper Milinkovic-Savic, and 10 minutes after the restart, Manchester City finally hit the front against 10-man Napoli, and almost inevitably it's Erling Haaland who does it. 1-0.
Well, we were looking for some individual player to come up with the answer to break down a very stubborn back line of Napoli, who have just brought on a defender and playing 5 at the back. But that run from Erling Haaland, the dink from Phil Foden, it's world class. It's not top class, it's world class. And the way he nods that in by Milinkovic-Savic is absolutely top draw. 50 goals in 49 Champions League appearances, breaks the record of Ruud van Nistelrooy, which was 62 games to 50 goals. The guy's just a phenomenon, Dance. He really is. I mean, the way he took that goal, the movement, but Phil Foden deserves a lot of credit. What a ball that was.
That's 12 goals in 7 games for club and country this season already for Erling Haaland. Boy, oh boy, is he right on top of his game right now. And Mickey Gray is absolutely right to highlight Phil Foden's contribution with the most delicate flicks into the area that Haaland could just run onto and apply a little soft header to get over the top of Milinkovic-Savic and into the far corner. Brilliant stuff. And now there's a bit more noise around the Etihad Stadium. And I was only saying 20 seconds before how frustrated Pep Guardiola was looking.
I think he's going to make a change himself as well, Pep Guardiola. Look, it's in their control. Yeah, it's in their control now, Dance. What they needed to do was come up with the answer of breaking Napoli down. Now, what do Napoli do? Because they're down to 10 men. Do they take risks and lose the game 2 or 3-0? Well, that's up to Antonio Conte, but the hard part is done. City have got themselves in front. Erling Haaland, I mean, just, what is it, a record breaker yet again. The guy's just unbelievable.
Doku now jinks his way up to the edge of the area. Foden trying to play a 1-2 with Haaland. Eventually ricochets away to Guardiola. Doku again finds Foden inside the area with his back to goal. Leaves it for Guardiola once more. Now Rodri takes over just next to the D. O'Reilly loses out. Napoli will try and bring it away through Spinazzola. Tries to nick it upfield to Højlund, but it's intercepted by Guardiola. Haaland tries to guide it into the left-hand side of the box for Reinders, but Anguissa gets it clear this time for the Italian side. But Diaz is there on halfway to guide it back. And Pep Guardiola is giving Nico Gonzalez one heck of a coaching session before he brings him on as a substitute at the next break in play. As Marcus Rashford gives Barcelona the lead at St James's Park over on Talksport. Newcastle United 0, Barcelona 1.
He enjoyed that one, Marcus Rashford, wouldn't he? Absolutely. I mean, that's been an incredible game itself, hasn't it? Newcastle-Barcelona, but this one was just a bit of a war of attrition, wasn't it? How City were going to break Napoli down, but they've got to that point in the game where they've now done that, and you can just see the weight in this stadium's come off everybody's shoulders. And I think Pep Guardiola making this change with Rodri coming off and Gonzalez coming on. Rodri's still trying to find his 100% fitness, isn't he? But he hasn't done anything wrong tonight. It's minutes under the belt, and I think this is a very good move from Pep Guardiola.
Straight swap in terms of positional sense. Gonzalez was brought in really to try and fill the gap, the huge gap that Rodri left in the City squad when he picked up his ACL. So he's on in Rodri's place. We've played an hour at the Etihad Stadium, live on Talksport 2. 1-0 to Manchester City here, as you've just heard. Barcelona have the lead through a very well-placed Marcus Rashford header against Newcastle United. Nico O'Reilly for Manchester City. Plays the ball into the feet of Reinders. Now Gonzalez gets his first involvement, centre of the half. Short pass into the feet of O'Reilly. Just 1 and 2 touch from Manchester City at the moment. Trying to get the tempo up. Foden with a lovely one-touch pass back to Guardiola, just chips it down the left-hand side of the area. Doku tried to lay it back to the edge of the area from an on-rushing City player, but couldn't find one. And Geesa's gone to ground. He got caught in the face, I think, accidentally by Nico Gonzalez, and he wants some treatment here. Frank Anguissa, the referee's gone over to check on his well-being to decide whether he needs any treatment. But it's Manchester City 1, 10-man Napoli 0. We played 61 minutes, and alongside me for the right tonight is Mickey Gray.
Well, I don't know if the ref's going to have a second look at this, and I don't want to see any more people sent off, but Nico Gonzalez's elbow, he's kind of shoved it back into Anguissa's face, and I think, lucky for him, he's got himself now back to his feet. Still shaking his head around a little bit, but we know that the rules and the laws are a little bit different in Champions League football, Dance, at times, and you don't want to be playing that line of levelling this game up to 10v10.
I'll tell you what, if it was me, I wouldn't want to elbow Frank Anguissa in the face. Not to be trifled with. But we're back underway. Anguissa didn't need any treatment in the end, so he's still out there. 11 against 10, as it's been since the 20th minute. Here is Josko Gvardiol. Finds Foden, whose beautiful assist provided that opener for Haaland. 50 Champions League goals in 49 appearances.
It's incredible, that, Dance, isn't it? I mean,
it bears repetition, doesn't it?
Do you know, what riles me up sometimes is some people question him as a football player. His build-up play, yeah, it's questioned at times, but my goodness.
Doku now inside the area, trying to make room for himself, but it's turned behind by Lobotka in the nick of time. But it is a Manchester City corner at the family stand end, 1-0.
Yeah, you can see it when they go through the gears, Man City, and the little quick passes, the little give and goes, the running off the ball. And Jeremy Doku's one of the best at it, but I need to see him do it more and more. He's such a danger when he gets you running in behind because of his pace. You don't want to touch him when he's inside the area.
Foden with this latest corner for Manchester City. Left-hand side into the near post, and it was a firm header, but well wide from Nico Gonzalez. He's actually the 10th player in Champions League history to have reached 50 goals, Erling Haaland, but as you already mentioned, he has shattered Ruud van Nistelrooy's record in terms of the number of games needed to get to that half-century. It was 62 games for Van Nistelrooy. Haaland, of course, has done it in 49.
And I think if you want to put him alongside, world-class players, Dance, as well, I believe he goes one past Thierry Henry in Champions League goals as well. So, and he's got about another 12, 13 years left of his career.
But remember, when he came to the Premier League, somebody said it's an insult to the Salahs of this world, I seem to remember. Somebody who works at Talksport now said that.
Well, he's just a goal phenomenon. What records he's going to break by the end of his career.
Well, everyone said he had an off-season last year, and he scored 31.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. If that's your bad season, I wouldn't mind having one.
He's level with Thierry Henry on 50, so needs one more. Our producer has just
but I think you better double check that, because I think he's gone past
that. Right, okay, well, difference of opinion here, Jeff, like they used to say on the quiz winner takes all. Our producer Sal's now going to look deep into that. It's not going to come to blows, I hope, between you two. I'm sitting between you. 25 minutes to go. Manchester City 1, 10-man Napoli 0. And it is a question, as Mickey's rightly said at this point, of how do Napoli go about their business? A goal down and a man down. How much ambition can they show? And are City going to go through the gears and try and put more past them? Doku feeds the ball into central midfield. Centre of the Napoli half, it's Bernardo Silva. Just lays it off to Gonzalez. Now Nico O'Reilly looks to be winding up for a shot for a moment. Leaves it for Reinders instead. Oh, lovely turn from Doku at the edge of the area. Weaving his way through. Doku, oh, what a goal! What a magnificent individual effort from Jeremy Doku. Twisted and turned at the edge of the area. Left Napoli defenders for dead. And then when the finish was needed, boy oh boy, did he provide a clinical finish underneath Milinkovic-Savic and into the bottom corner. That is top class from Jeremy Doku to make it Manchester City 2, Napoli 0.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, you see special goals, and most of them seem to come in Champions League football. I talked about Jeremy Doku at the weekend. I thought he was Manchester City's best player. But my goodness, when he goes through the gears, which I mentioned moments prior, he's inside that 18-yard. He's got 4 Napoli players around him. He just jinks, skips, uses his pace. Oh, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and an outstanding finish at the end of it. He's deserved that. He's been tenacious all night, and he's got his just rewards with a great goal.
Well, he had 2 assists here against Manchester United on Sunday afternoon. Now he's found the net with a beauty, and it was such a wonderful run, bamboozling the Napoli defenders around him, and the finish, when it was supplied, was crisp and firm and true. And now Napoli really are up against it. Not just a man down, but now 2 goals down on their first Champions League match of the season.
And that boils down to Napoli maybe springing out a little bit too early there, Dan, trying to search for the equalising goal. And when you leave gaps with this City, you've got the quality that will break you down. I said they're just growing in confidence minute by minute now.
Here is Doku, tail very much up after that goal. Now Foden at the edge of the D, trying to poke it through to Haaland, comes out to the edge of the area, ball threaded back through into the box. Spinazzola lets the ball bounce and then lofts it clear. Guardiola's missed the bounce of the ball, and that allows Anguissa to sprint away down this right-hand side. Only Højlund up with him in those dark blue Napoli shirts. Work back to Lobotka. Now Anguissa again. Oh, he's just given it away. A lazy pass picked up by Doku, who I think was just indicating that his hamstring might be tightening a little bit. Doku showed it to his manager. I think he might be coming off with Savinho here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a change, isn't it? I mean, he's eventually won the ball back, hasn't he? But I think if I'm Anguissa, look, he's 1v1 with Guardiola. I mean, surely he's got that little bit more energy to maybe just have a go at him in a 1v1 situation and make something happen. But he lets City off the hook. He turns back, he tries to play to one of his midfield players when really he's got to get his head up and having a look for Rasmus Højlund, who, yeah, he's isolated, but let's see if he's still got the pace, Højlund, to run in behind him, maybe get Napoli back into the game. But it's so difficult to ask these questions when you're down to 10 men, and City are obviously cruising at the moment.
Here's Nico O'Reilly finding Foden, gives it back to O'Reilly inside the area, couldn't get the ball out of his feet, and it drifts behind for a goal kick. 2-0 here to Manchester City, 2-0 to Barcelona at St James's Park, and Marcus Rashford, having scored the first with a header, has just driven in a beauty to score the second at the Lees' end to make it 2-0, and it is indeed Jeremy Doku coming off here, having scored that Brilliant individual effort for the second to allow Savinho to come on, and quite rightly the Belgians getting a huge round of applause from all around us here at the Etihad. Wonderful moment for him. Wonderful moment.
No, absolutely. I think he's shown some really good form at the moment, Dance, which is great for Pep Guardiola. You think about people like Jack Grealish who've left the club. He needed him to step up to the plate and show how good he was with that talent. And he's coming up with the goods now with assists and goals, which was probably lacking from him last season. But an excellent performance from him tonight, and what a wonderful goal to finish off his night.
So 2-0 here to Manchester City, and those 2 goals from Marcus Rashford live on Talksport for Barcelona at Newcastle have been scored in front of a watching Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, who's there tonight. City coming forward, Savinho fresh onto the field, plays a 1-2 from Foden, lovely back heel from Foden. Now Bernardo Silva trying to roll it across the face of goal, and it's put behind for a corner kick. And now it's all about damage limitation for Napoli. 2-0 down with just over 20 minutes to play.
Well, I've got to say that Phil Foden's been on another level tonight. His little passes, his movement off the ball, and his little dink through for Erling Haaland. This time, the little back heel. It's so sublime, it really is, and I hope he's just getting back to his best, Phil Foden, because he's enjoying his football tonight.
Well, he's taken all the set pieces. It's him again on the corner. Takes it short because Bernardo Silva's in space. Right-hand corner. Gives it back to Foden, but the clip back into the box is straight at the goalkeeper. When you look at the season before last, Mickey, Phil Foden was 27 goals and 12 assists. Last year, by comparison, 10 goals and 5 assists. So he will tell you, there were things
I think injuries as well,
game.
Dance, there was a few injuries in there, and I think there was a few off-field antics as well. A house party, I believe, he had at a certain point. And when Pep Guardiola hears about them things, you're out the team. And he didn't show that form throughout the whole of last season, but I really hope he's getting back to what we know he is, because he's such an outstanding player. Not just a miss for Man City, but also a miss for his country as well. And when he's playing like he is tonight, with that gracefulness, he loves playing in that number 10 position with that freedom. He's been a breath of fresh air tonight.
Triple change for Napoli. Rasmus Højlund getting a few boos as he comes off to allow David Neres to come off, or to come on rather, in his place. And the other change sees Lobotka going off, and Billy Gilmour, once of Chelsea and Brighton, getting a run out for these last 18.5 minutes on Talksport 2, with Manchester City 2 goals up and cruising towards 3 points to start their Champions League season the right way this time around in this 36-team mega league that we now have, where, if you remember, the top 24 get through to the next stage, with the top 16 through as of right, and then the next 8 scrapping it out through the playoffs.
Well, I like this format, Dance. I really do. I thought it worked very well last season, and I think it just proves that, when you've got Paris Saint-Germain, who struggled to get through themselves, Real Madrid playing against Man City in a 2-way playoff, I think it just shows the importance of getting off to a positive start and getting the points on the board as quick as you possibly can.
Well, looking at their next Champions League games, Manchester City, they're playing Monaco next, who've been thrashed tonight, or at least they were earlier this afternoon in one of the early kickoffs. Villarreal away as well. They lost to Tottenham on Tuesday night. Dortmund here at the Etihad. Leverkusen here. Real Madrid away. Bodo Glimt in the Arctic Circle away. And then they'll round things off against Galatasaray.
Yeah, I mean, some very tough games, but I think when you're in this competition, there isn't very many easy games. But what you want to try and do is you want to get to that, I think it was around about 16 to 20 point mark, wasn't it, from the games that you've got. If you can get them points on the board as quick as you possibly can, then you can rotate and look at your squad and give younger players an opportunity, and just think to yourself, well, we're not in the playoffs, we're through to the knockout rounds. And that's where Man City should be. I think they just let it slip last season. They took the eye off the ball, Dance, on many occasions.
Well, that game against Feyenoord, where they were 3-1 up and cruising, and ended at 3-3. There was also a defeat at Juventus, where they looked really out of sorts in the Juventus stadium. But as Natalie Sawyer said to us before we even kicked off tonight, Paris Saint-Germain very nearly didn't qualify at all and ended up winning the whole shooting match.
Yeah, it's completely right. It's all about timing it to perfection, isn't it?
Well, here come Napoli coming forward with Elmas, one of the 3 substitutes. In Phil McTominay, centre of the Manchester City half, works the ball out well to Spinazzola on the right-hand side. There's 3 waiting for a cross for Napoli here. If Spinazzola can provide, he's actually hit it against O'Reilly, which wins Napoli a throw. You're listening to Manchester City 2, Napoli 0 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Neres, another of the substitutes just brought on by Antonio Conte, works it back to Buongiorno inside the half well on. Neres makes a run in the inside right channel, but Donnarumma, it was only, I think, had 1 shot on target to deal with all night so far. A very quiet night for the man born in the Bay of Naples area. It was a Bakima shot in the 17th minute that was the only one that Donnarumma's had to deal with tonight.
I think that was offside as well, wasn't it? Dancy came from the corner, yeah. But yeah, it's been a night for a goalkeeper where you can probably at times in this game, Donnarumma could have took his gloves off if he wanted to, but it's not the night he was expecting. I think he's from that part of Italy as well, isn't he? So he might have expected a little bit more jeers from the Napoli fans in his second half, where he stood just in front of. But
well, that's why he's standing 30 yards from goal, probably, keeping out the way.
Well, he could actually play sweeper keeper tonight, couldn't he? Because he's not had much to do.
Oh, easily. Get some practice in passing the ball. Because that's supposedly his Achilles heel. We'll see how that pans out over the season. Arsenal next, remember. There will be a very severe test down at the Emirates Stadium on Sunday afternoon for the late kick-off. Remember, Game Day Live will keep you bang up to date with all the Sunday football from the Premier League and elsewhere, as well as our Game Day Live service on Saturday. But you can join me Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock for Sheffield United against Charlton in the Championship, and whilst that game's going on, I'll keep you abreast of all the goals going in elsewhere around the country in the Premier League, in the EFL and Scotland, and the National League. So much going on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Always feel like I lose weight doing that shift, because you're going to concentrate on about 15
lost
different
too much weight.
Well, I don't know about that. Still got a stone and a half to go, mate. 2-0 to Manchester City here. Ian Dancer and Mickey Gray with you on Talksport 2 in the Champions League. It's been spread across 3 nights this week. Mixed results for the English teams. Arsenal and Spurs got it right on Tuesday. Chelsea beaten last night. And tonight, Manchester City doing it in comfort against 10-man Napoli, but Newcastle losing at home to Barcelona, live on Talksport at the moment. And Liverpool, of course, leaving it desperately late, as they seem to be enjoying doing right now against Atletico Madrid, with Virgil van Dijk's last gasp headed winner. City coming forward, looking for a flick at the edge of the area to get O'Reilly in. Cleared away in the nick of time by Spinazzola, but here's Savinho inside the area, drives for the byline, pulls it back across the face of goal, deflected out to Nico Gonzalez at the edge of the box. Can't make room for a shot. Works it back to Diaz. Now Gvardiol takes over. Finds Savinho again down the left-hand side of the box. Spinazzola, the man in front of him. Down goes Savinho, half-heartedly looking for a penalty. The referee instead points at the 6-yard line. Yeah. Goal kick to Napoli, 2-0 City.
It's the right call. I mean, it's the coming together of legs. Savinho's tried to be bold. He's tried to go on the outside, but I think it has to go down as very good defending. Spinazzola, wily old fox, experience, just waiting for that little jink and that little move down the left-hand side. But I think they'll be quite proud of themselves tonight. I know they're going to lose the game, Napoli, but I think defensively, until Man City broke them down and they went down to 10 men, they looked really astute and hard to break down, and I think we're going to get that from an Antonio Conte team. But look, at the end of the day, I think in that final third, they've not been able to ask enough questions, because they've just run out of steam and run out of ideas. Going down one less man is always hard, certainly when you come into a place like the Etihad Stadium.
12 minutes to go on Talksport 2. Manchester City 2, Napoli 0. Triple change coming up for Manchester City. Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob and Nathan Ake all ready to come on. Savinho, who's not long on as a substitute himself, finds O'Reilly. Flicked across by Gvardiol to the effervescent Phil Foden. He'd like Thomas Tuchel to come and watch him before too long, I should imagine.
Yeah, if he keeps playing like he is at the moment.
He wasn't here on Sunday for the derby, was he, Tuchel?
I'm not sure. I don't think he was, actually, no. And he would have saw a very good performance from Phil Foden, but I think he's absolutely upped his ante again tonight. I think he's been a standout player, I really do.
I can't disagree with that. He's been super tonight, Foden. Not just the assist for Haaland's opener, but much more besides. Free kick as McTominay just goes over Phil Foden and wins a free kick. Maybe that will prompt this 3-player change. They need 2 substitution boards to cope with all of this. At the same time, 1 substitution board isn't enough. So the changes are being made, and Tijani Reinders is going to make way for Rico Lewis for the first change. And every time I see Tijani Reinders play, I'm impressed with what I see. I like the look of him a whole lot.
He is a very good player.
I think he's a smashing player.
Yeah, I thought he played outstanding in the game against Wolves, first day of the season when City won that 4-0. And I think the best is yet to come from him. And you see the big hug from Pep Guardiola. He knows the importance of him. He looks like a very good character as well. He's settled into his Man City career very, very quickly, and I'm pleased for him.
Erling Haaland gets an early night as well. Oscar Bob coming on for him, and many congratulations to Erling Haaland. Let's salute it once again. 50 Champions League goals in a record 49 games for the Norwegian, with his brilliantly taken header tonight in the record books. And you you have to say to yourself, Nicky Great, no one's going to get near beating that. If he's beaten Ruud van Nistelrooy's game record by 13 to get to 50, it's going to take an extraordinary effort to get anywhere near that record.
He's just a born striker who loves scoring goals, not interested in getting involved in the build-up play, albeit I think since he's been at City that's actually improved. He certainly has at the beginning of this season, but he's all about goals. He's a machine.
Why not call Rory Jennings tonight on Talksport, who's in on the sports bar with Jermaine Pennant, I think, from 10 o'clock tonight, and remind him just how good Erling Haaland is as a striker, because I think Rory had a slightly different opinion of Haaland when he arrived in this country. 03717 22 33 44. Oh, that was last night, was it? It's Cundy and O'Hara back tonight. Oh well, there's always the Rory Jennings show on Saturday night, 7:30. It can wait. Can always wait. Sporting 4, Cairo Almaty 0 in the Champions League. Lots of goals going in around Europe tonight. And 2 at St James's Park, both for Marcus Rashford. Frankfurt 5-1 up on Galatasaray. They went a goal down early on in that game, did Frankfurt. And Manchester City 2-0 up on Napoli here as we're into the last 8 minutes. As Savinho has a little run at Spinazzola, thinks better of it, flicks it back into the centre of the Napoli half. Ruben Dias plays it left for Nathan Ake, just on as a substitute. The Dutch centre half plays it across to Dias. Again, thought about stepping onto that and having a crack at goal, Ruben Dias. Instead it's worked out to the right hand side. Bernardo Silva and Kuzanov combining. Ake again gets it back in centre midfield. Dias looking for an option. There's no big target man there now with Haaland off and Oscar Bob on. It is one Norwegian for another, but you couldn't have more different statures of player between Erling Haaland and, well, anybody really. Yeah. Erling Haaland and anybody is different. Here's Savinho. Can have another run at Spinazzola down this left-hand side. Gets towards the dead ball line, but then turns away from the dead ball line because Spinazzola, to be fair to him, had cut down the space really well. Savinho again, near the left-hand corner of the penalty area. Plays a short 1-2 with Bob. Now O'Reilly finds Bob once again, dispossessed. Quite well in the end there by Bakima. Brought away for Napoli by Elmas, the substitute. Then he's lost out as Rico Lewis flew in, full of beans, having just come on as one of those 3 changes made. Now space for Savinho, left-hand side, brings it down beautifully. Plays an early cross into the area, looking for the run of Rico Lewis, but it ricocheted away into the grateful arms of Milinkovic-Savic. 2-0 City, 6.5 minutes to play on Talksport 2.
Well, that's the pass that's worked for City tonight. that midfield runner, the blind run, if you like, in towards the 18-yard area when the ball's out wide. This time Savino just tried to play it, but he got a little bit of loft on it, which I don't think really helped on this occasion. But I mean, the Doku goal's fantastic. Just summed that up, the way they moved into the 18-yard box. I said they wouldn't score from across tonight. Well, you've had a dink over the top from Phil Foden for Haaland's header, and the other one was great brilliance from Jeremy Doku. They have defended well, Napoli, from wide areas, and I think it's something that City has certainly got to improve on as the season goes on, not just in Champions League but also in the Premier League as well. If you see the top sides, they always seem to get wide players behind the defence, and that's when they can capitalise on you. But they've had to try and find a different way tonight. They had to be patient, but that patience looks like it's going to pay off.
Napoli's remaining games include their final game at home at the Diego Maradona Stadium against Antonio Conte's old Chelsea side.
Well, that's going to be fun. I think they've got Benfica as well, haven't they? Jose Mourinho against Antonio Conte. My goodness.
And Sporting next to just been thumping Cairo Almaty. Is it 4-5-0? 4-0 to Sporting at the moment in Lisbon. So they're on good form with their tails up. But there's mitigating circumstances for Napoli tonight. Down to 10 men after just 20 minutes. It was all about they shall not pass as much as they could, but Manchester City did eventually pick the lock through Messrs Haaland and Doku. That's why we're at 2-0 with 5 minutes to play on Talksport 2. Savino plays the ball back in field to Nico Gonzalez. This is just outside the Napoli penalty area, left hand corner of it. Savino again. Ake made a run into the box. It's rolled back to Nico Gonzalez under pressure from Gilmour, gives it back to Diaz. Now Bob takes over. Midfield for Gonzalez. Centre of the Napoli half. Out to Savino, left-hand side. A few announcements coming over the public address system in Italian for the Napoli fans, presumably about how long they've got to stay in place at the end of the game. Meantime, Oscar Bob has it left-hand corner of the penalty area. Blazed into the feet of Foden, laid it off for Gonzalez, who probably wanted to be able to tee it up for a shot there, but it just didn't help him. The ball that came back to him from Foden. But they're just keeping the ball and frustrating Napoli here. 1 and 2 touch stuff from the Champions League winners from a couple of years ago. Diaz for Man City. Bernardo Silva. What can he scheme away here up against Scott McTominay? He's had a quiet night, the former Manchester United man and MVP in Serie A last year. His career arc since going to Italy has been fantastic, Scott McTominay, but he's barely had a look in tonight.
I think it's a shame, Dance. I really do, of not being able to see what I would call the new Scott McTominay. We didn't really get to see much of Kevin De Bruyne, which I think disappointed everybody in this stadium tonight, whether he's wearing a Napoli shirt or a Man City shirt, because they came to see him. But you're right about Scott McTominay. He's just been told to sit in now, hasn't he? He's not been able to show us what he can do in the opposition's half. And I suppose you could say the same about Rasmus Højlund. Look, he's just so isolated. They couldn't get involved in the game when he was on the pitch because of them going down to 10 men so early. So it was a bit of a shame for them tonight and a bit of a shame for us.
3 minutes to go. You're listening to Manchester City 2, Napoli 0 in the Champions League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. De Bruyne has now showered and changed, incidentally, and just sat in amongst the unused substitutes at the back of the bench. Again, I hope he chose the right dressing room.
He's got the right kit on.
He has, yeah. As I say, at least he went to the right dressing room. There was that great moment when Ron Atkinson went into the wrong dugout at the City ground.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Realised the error of his ways once the waves went up from the supporters around him in the Peter Taylor stand.
There was a coach years ago who came to Sunderland called Bobby Ferguson under Terry Butcher. I'll try and try it quickly. In Ipswich, he was Ipswich when the great Bobby Robson was there, and he went into Old Trafford and went into Man United's dressing room and started pointing the finger at Brian Robson and Remy Moses and players like that, and criticising them because they were losing the game, and looked up 5 minutes later and Brian Robson said, "You're in the wrong dressing room, mate."
Well, that's an easy mistake to make. Napoli are coming forward on a rare foray down their left-hand side. Neres keeps it in play, works it back to McTominay, infield for Gilmour, who works it back to Jesus, who came on as an auxiliary centre-half just before Manchester City took the lead. So that substitution ploy didn't quite come off for Antonio Conte. But this is only match day 1 of 8, remember, in this revamped Champions League format. Plenty of chances to get yourself back up that 30-16 mega table. Into the last minute of normal time on Talksport 2. The Sports Bar coming up over on Talksport. Newcastle still trailing Barcelona at home by 2 Marcus Rashford goals to 0. I think Rashford's been taken off by Barcelona up at St James's Park, so no chance of a hat-trick, but a great header and a really thumping right-footed effort from the former Manchester United man, putting Newcastle United to the sword. Napoli cleared Anfield through Milinkovic-Savic. Good control from Neres on halfway, but Rico Lewis straight on him to take the ball off his toe.
Mr. Versatile again, Rico Lewis, playing in that central midfield role again, Dance, isn't he? He's the go-to guy, isn't he? I thought he had a brilliant game first day of the season against Wolverhampton Wanderers, but then he's kind of struggled since and lost his place a little bit, but pleased to see him out there getting some minutes tonight.
Well, with the departure of players like İlkay Gündoğan, then he's got a chance to stake a claim in defensive midfielders where he wants to make his home. Sometimes players can be a victim of being as versatile as they are, but we should be celebrating players' versatility anyway. We shouldn't be trying to pigeonhole players too much, I don't think.
Yeah, I think in the past it was you had one position and that was it, but I think the way that football's evolved, if you like, players can play in different positions, and if it helps you out, they're absolutely fantastic for your dressing room and great for your squad.
My position was always the same. Left back in the changing room. Into 2 minutes of added time at the Etihad. Manchester City 2-0 up, points are safe on this opening night. Can they add a third here late on and really put the cherry on the cake? Here's Nico Gonzalez, just ahead of the centre circle, plays it to his right for Bob. Silva waits on the right-hand touchline, just caresses the ball in field to Krusnov. Nico Gonzalez plays it up to Rico Lewis, who tried an impudent little flick to get Oscar Bob in, but again a hoofed clearance downfield from Napoli, and Ake decides just to put it out of play for a throw. And Pep Guardiola says, talk to him. To say to Ake, talk to your fellow centre-half, you didn't need to put that out of play.
There was a lack of communication. Centre-halves, what you don't want to do is start letting the ball bounce, and the 2 centre-halves did that. Is it yours, is it mine? And that's why Nathan Ake had to slide on the ground and clear his lines. Pep Guardiola wasn't happy at all.
Ball's back with Milinkovic-Savic, and we played a minute and a half of the 2 that's been added on here, and the ball's gone out of play for a goal kick. So fourth official takes the opportunity of this break in play to shake hands with Pep Guardiola, and the referee decides enough is enough, and Manchester City get off and running with 3 points against difficult opponents in Napoli here at the Etihad Stadium, aided and abetted by an early red card for Napoli's Giovanni Di Lorenzo for denying Erling Haaland a goal-scoring opportunity on 20 minutes. But it took a while for City to break Napoli's resistance down. It finally came just shy of the hour when Phil Foden's lovely flicked pass from the edge of the area found Erling Haaland, who looped a header over Milinkovic-Savic to make it 1-0. And then not long after, Jeremy Doku, with a sensational individual effort, turned at the edge of the area, weaved his way through several defenders and drilled a low shot underneath the keeper into the bottom corner to make the point safe for Pep Guardiola and the citizens. They win it by 2-0, Mickey Gray.
Yeah, to get off to the perfect start is certainly what Pep Guardiola would have wanted, but I think, spoiler alert, wasn't it, on 20 minutes after the sending off of Di Lorenzo, it kind of changed the whole format of the game, and it was how quickly could Manchester City break Napoli down? Well, they found it difficult at times, but when they did come up with the quality of Erling Haaland, it was absolutely fantastic. The ball through from Phil Foden, it just settled everybody's nerves because it was a great finish. And then Jeremy Doku's finish after that was just sublime. The weavy feet, getting himself into the 18-yard area to double City's lead. And I think they'd be pleased with that. He's been able to make changes tonight as well, Pep Guardiola, knowing that there's a huge game at the weekend against Arsenal, taking Guardiola, Rodri, Reinders and Haaland and Jeremy Doku off the pitch just to give them a little bit of a breather, because we know that Arsenal played on Tuesday. So I think overall a positive night for Man City, but Napoli will be thereabouts in the games to come, but unfortunately it just wasn't their night tonight.
Strange night for Kevin De Bruyne. He was sacrificed by Antonio Conte in the wake of that red card for Di Lorenzo, and he was substituted. He's just having a hug from his former teammate. He's actually been in deep conversation with loads of his former teammates out there, but Erling Haaland's got his arm around De Bruyne at the moment, chatting away with him. And it won't be long before you'll see Kevin De Bruyne every time you come to the Etihad Stadium, because a statue has been commissioned. I think that was announced back in May. But bittersweet night, I guess, for Kevin De Bruyne tonight, really, Mickey.
Yeah, look, we wanted to see more of him. An iconic figure at this football club, a legend. He'll never be forgotten because of what he's achieved at this football club, but unfortunately had to be taken off because of that sending off. But I think the night probably it leans towards Erling Haaland. I mean, the numbers are just off the charts. 50 Champions League goals in 49 games. It is just breathtaking. It really is. It's phenomenal. And I mean, how many is he going to get by the end of his career?
The mind boggles. Incidentally, Newcastle have got a goal back as they've gone into added time at St James's Park. Live on Talksport, Anthony Gordon got it. Newcastle won, Barcelona 2. They're about 4 minutes into 7 minutes added on. That's live on Talksport right now with Jim Proudfoot and Troy Deeney. Kevin De Bruyne is just having a walk around the pitch at the moment, along with the Manchester City players, just doing his own little lap of honour, leading them round whilst the rest of the Napoli players are trudging off. I'll tell you what, at this point, I think you might have already slightly given it away as to what you're going to do, but let's find out what Mickey thinks about our Man of the Match award tonight with our friends at Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
So then, Mickey, is it the big man up front for Man City who gets the nod for you?
Oh. Well, yeah, look, I think with an accolade like he's achieved tonight, a record breaker, I think I've just about tipped it and give it to Erling Haaland. Phil Foden was off the charts tonight. He's back to his best. He was sensational. But I think when you've got your 50th Champions League goal, how can I not give man of the match to Erling Haaland?
There you go. Erling Haaland gets the award from Mickey Gray for our Man of the Match Here For It hero with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.